And so what you want to do is you want to go into the keyword search here, type in a relevant technology or keyword for your technology, and then what will happen is if you put a keyword here, it'll spit out a bunch of hits of past awards. And so, and then you can filter by phase or agency or program, SBIR, STTR, year, and even by state if you want. So you can narrow down the search results. But just to give you an example, if you put in wound dressing, you're going to see several agencies that are interested. No shock that Health and Human Services, the NIH, is interested in wound dressing. Probably not a shock that DOD is interested. NSF had funded in the past as well. I have seen some of the smaller agencies that you might not necessarily think would be interested funding areas. So just do this homework, okay? It's worth it. You probably will identify an agency that you weren't thinking of. And so then if you click on one of these, you're going to find all sorts of information about this past award. The title is first. The company is listed, SBC, Small Business Concern. The topic it was awarded under, the year, the phase, the program, SBIR, STTR, and then the agency, and then a quick abstract. If you click on the link, then you're going to get even more information. Again, all the agency, the dollar amount, the company, where it's located, the investigator, the PI, and the business officials. So you may want to reach out to these people. It could be a good collaborator, it could also be a competitor. So you just need to do your homework so you understand what the landscape is for competition and or potential collaborators. So very important to do that. Now, once you've done that, you can also go back to sbir.gov and look at the agencies. Each have their own website, and many of these agencies, particularly the bigger ones, have additional kind of web search where you can go back and look at their award information. And like I know NSF, for example, and NIH, they have their databases. You can get even more information about the past awards. So you can also do that additional digging. All right. So you figured out 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 agencies that you want to meet with during the road tour. Now what? What's next? Well, the first thing you're going to need to do is put together a quad chart. Now, a quad chart is basically, it's just DOD loves these, NASA loves these, Homeland Security, they love these quad charts. And so here's just an example. Basically, you take a piece of paper, you cut it into 4 sections, 4 quadrants. That's where the name comes from. And there's information on here. It's a briefing paper, okay? And so what should you put in there? And why do they request this? It's short, it's concise, it's not text, it's bullet points. And so it's easier to kind of digest. It's got a lot of information in it. And if you do it correctly, it's got the information that's relevant to the agency, so they don't have to sift through like a white paper or a business plan. Okay. And importantly, if you've got more than one idea, you're going to have to put together more than one quad chart. You don't want to try to cram 2 different ideas into one quad chart. That wouldn't be helpful. And you may even need to tailor it for different agencies. In other words, if your technology is doing one thing for NASA, but doing another thing for, I don't know, DOD, then you may need to tweak those. So just remember that. Now, the link to the template for the road tour is found right here. So you click on that, and it's going to look something like this. It's actually going to look very much like this. And so what do you put in each of these sections? We're going to go through each one of these sections here in detail, but this is what it's going to look like, and you're going to want to fill it out. So We found the template. This is what it looks like. And then now we're going to talk about what to include in each one of these sections. Not proprietary information. Okay. Don't put any proprietary information in these, because you don't want to have that in these. You don't need to have that in these. So the first section, the first quadrant, what do I put in the technology? So you're going to want to have these four subsections or bullet points within the this quadrant. Overview of the plan itself. What is it you're trying to prove here? Okay, you've got a research goal. It's a goal. Don't say design something. You want to complete. You want to prove something. You want to show something that you're going to achieve. Okay, you got to show what the IP. What's the status of your IP? In other words, there's two important things about intellectual property. One, how you control it. Either you own it or you license it or somehow you control it. And then secondly, related but different, is how do you protect it? Okay, just because you control it doesn't mean you protect it. And so you need to have a brief description about both of those important elements of the intellectual property. Kind of where you're at, and then what your value proposition is. In other words, how is this better than the state of the art? And so you don't have tons of space here, but you're going to want to describe how you've got the ability to win, or what your value proposition is. Okay, next section, you got to describe your company, right? Why did you form this company? What's your mission? When did you form it? How long you've been around? It could be that you're just forming the company. That's okay, particularly if you're talking to like NSF. They fund a lot of companies that are just kind of starting. How many employees, if you've got collaborators, facilities, if you've had revenue in the past, or you've got federal funding in the past, you want to briefly mention that, and then your company website. Okay. What about the next section, the research need? So this is where you're going to be talking about the specific technical objectives. Okay, these are the things that you have to prove. We have to prove A, we have to prove B. In NIH, they talk about specific aims. It's the same thing. It's what is it that you have to prove? This is what we aim to prove. We need to show whatever it is that you need to prove. And then so you've listed what needs to be proven. You should also include some success measure of how you're going to measure whether or not you achieve that objective or not, or that specific aim. And then just a brief outline of the key tasks that you'll undertake that will prove that you actually made your objective or not. Okay. You should also have a brief, how this leads to phase two. And, how this kind of achieves a goal for the mission, for the agency's mission, right? This isn't just so your company can, be successful, but you're trying to meet an agency mission, a research need for that agency. And remember, SBIR has funding caps. Phase one has a certain funding cap. You need to know what that is. For most of the agencies, it's less than $300,000 for phase one. Some of the smaller agencies, it's even less than that. So you need to know what that cap is. Don't propose a phase one for $2 million. That ain't going to happen. Okay, so your scope has to match what the agency's funding caps are. And so that's important research that you need to undertake. Okay, last section. What about the opportunity? And this is basically the, once you develop this, where's it headed? The commercial. Okay, so again, your first thing, what the problem is that you're trying to solve. And this would be a really good thing to, ask some questions about. We'll get to that in a second. But solving the problem that the agency has that you're first of all you're going to do, then who the target customer is, um, how large a customer base there is, how much the market opportunity is, and if there's non-commercial societal benefits. You're involving underrepresented groups in your research and development. Say you're partnering with an HBCU, for example. There's other benefits that are accruing from this particular development. Make sure to mention those. And then again, how you're going to initially establish traction in your beachhead market. Those are important things to list there in your this section here. Your target customer, who we're first going to establish a beachhead with, and how we're going to grow from there. Okay. Then at the top is this banner here that's, this is kind of some basic company information. So you want to put your company website, make sure that that's there, the different person that you want to have as your point of contact, email address, and phone number. So you want to make sure to put that in your quad chart. Now, okay, so you prepared your quad chart, you've submitted it. Now you're getting ready to meet with them. The day has come and you're there and you're so what you should do is have a list of questions ready that you have prepared, probably on a note card. I strongly suggest a note card. You could use your phone or whatever, your tablet if you'd like, but have specific questions. And the so you can bring your printed out quad chart. Again, you don't have to, because they're going to have the quad chart on their tablet or their phone. But if you want to leave it behind, that's fine. But again, if it's going to be different for one agency and another, you may want to make sure that you have something there that you can leave behind so that they get the right version. Get contact information. Once you meet with them, make sure to get a card, get their contact information so that you can follow up. If you've got a demo, like a prototype or something, remember, you're only going to have 15 minutes to meet with this person. So if it's going to take you 5 minutes to set it up and kind of do the demo, it's probably not worth it. So you're wanting to get them talking as much as possible. Bring lots of business cards. This is not a sales pitch. This is a understanding time. Ask questions about the mission. Give a little brief. They've already got the quad chart in front of them. So they're going to understand a little bit about what your value proposition is, but you're trying to understand, particularly if you're talking to a contracting agency, what the problem is that you're trying to, what they're trying to solve, so that you can try to tailor your proposal to meet the mission need. So those are things that you're going to want to do. And again, don't push the time limit. Okay, be respectful of their time, and just remember, the more you talk, the less you can learn. And this is really a learning opportunity. So if you're talking to a contracting agencies, basically you've showed your technology. You can ask if there's a topic that they believe is going to be coming out later. They're not going to talk probably specifics about that particular topic because it hasn't come out yet. But they would probably have a good idea whether there's going to be something coming down the way. Can you provide a white paper? So sometimes they're not aware of the technology that you have, and so you may be able to essentially suggest a topic that could be of use to them in the future. And how do you recommend building relationships within your agency? Granting agency, really you're trying to figure out priorities and whether the priorities are changing. Regardless of whether it's a contracting or granting agency, you're trying to figure out, is this topic of interest to the agency? Okay. And if it's not, then maybe is there a different agency? You did your homework, so you should know that answer, but sometimes things change, right? They funded an area in the past and now they're not as interested, but they might be able to suggest a different agency. Um, some of the questions that would be really good. What are some obstacles at your agency? So if you're talking to the NSF, for example, what is what's one of the big challenges that applicants face in applying to NSF or to EPA or whoever you're talking with? Um, are there special topics at your agency? Like for NIH, for example, NIH has a waiver on the budget cap. So some topical areas that you can ask for more than the like 300,000 level. I know at NCI, the National Cancer Institute, they have a much higher phase one cap and phase two cap for that matter. So do a little homework, figure out if that particular institute or center at NIH has a cap waiver, and then you want to, or you can ask about it to figure out whether you can ask for more money. Sometimes it'd be good to ask about the difference between SBIR and STTR, because some of the agencies participate in both. The big agencies do, and it might be worth figuring out whether STTR would be more appropriate, working with a research institute, or SBIR, or if there's other special topics that are out there. Are there other people that you might be able to contact at their agency, and would they be willing to help with an introduction? And then lastly, could you contact them again and follow up in the future? So what should you be doing now? Well, right now, make sure you got good notes for every meeting that you take. Take notes, write down contact information, write down what you learned about obstacles, about maybe specific topics that are coming up, whatever it was that you learned, write it down. Make sure you get business cards or minimally get the contact information. Figure out what you can do to follow up, right? So if you had specific questions and they said, well, you need to talk to X, Y, or so and so, or you need to go to this website, or you need to talk to, then make sure to write that down and then figure out your follow-up plan, because that is really the key is follow up, follow up, follow up. That's true of anything, but following up is really, really key. So that's right when you're, kind of while you're sitting there, you're taking lots of good notes so that you can determine your follow-up plan. Then in the next week, follow up with every person that you met with via email. Don't type up a huge long one, just a very concise subject. Thank you for the time, quick question, whatever. Thank them, remind them that you met with them. You may want to reattach that quad chart, and then whatever the follow-up was. During our discussion, you mentioned I should follow up with so-and-so and that you would be able to make an introduction. Could you please make that introduction? Okay, so those are the kinds of follow-ups that you'd want to do. You do it right away. Don't wait 2, 3, 4 weeks, because then they'll forget. A month later, if they haven't responded. So now if you send it right away and they haven't responded, then, a few weeks go by, politely ping them, say, hey, I haven't heard from you. Still wondering if you might be able to make that warm introduction or whatever it was. And then make sure that you've contacted and been following up, that you've been working your list. And then as you're expanding your list, if that person that the agency represented put you in touch with person A, and person A said, well, that's really not our area, then ask person A for a couple names so that you're just starting to network, right? Okay, well, thank you for taking the time. Do you have somebody that you could recommend that might be interested? So then you keep following down and you're just working your daisy chain of contacts. And so Again, and if they're sending you somewhere else, make sure to do your research and your homework before you go out and reach out to them. But tell them that you got their information from the road tour, from the SBA road tour, and from the agency representative. It brings some credibility. So the other thing I would recommend is, if you're not already, sign up for each one of the agencies that you're interested in. They all have a listserv, or an email distribution list. Make sure you get signed up on each one of those agencies, because you'll get all the most up-to-date information. I'm signed up for a bunch of them, and I get all these emails. But I know when a new solicitation comes out, or a change to a solicitation comes out, or change to a due date shows up, those are all really important. You need to be on those lists. So make sure, if you don't do it prior, do it. You can do it now, but definitely do it afterwards. And then, these aren't always necessarily going to be happening, but hopefully you're preparing a proposal. You learned enough from your time with the person, and you learn enough about the agency, and you figured out how to apply and all those kinds of things, that you want to submit a proposal. Ultimately, you need to get that seed funding. So make sure that you do what you need to. Every agency is going to require SAM registration. All of the agencies except DoD require an active SAM registration, even to submit a proposal. Now, DoD allows you to submit without an active SAM, but you have to have an active SAM to receive an award. So you got to get it done. And it's taken between 4 and 6 weeks to get it activated right now. So do your homework now, get that registration started. And so, as you're putting together your proposal, you've done a lot of homework, you've contacted those agency people, you followed up with them. You need to have a solid team to be competitive in SBIR. And then there's also lots of state resources. Every state has SBDC, every Small Business Development Center. Those are geared towards helping small businesses get started and off the ground. They all have resources like market research, so they're going to be able to help you. And most of SBDC services are at no cost. Every state has an Apex accelerator. Those used to be called PTACs, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. Now they call themselves Apex accelerators. They help companies work with the federal government. Most states have a FAST awardee. This is SBA funded support organizations. I think it's 42 different states have FAST awardees. So look those all up. They're all very helpful. And so, as you're putting together your proposal, you want to get assistance to the extent that you can. And many of the states have assistance, so there's very little out-of-pocket costs for you, particularly if your company is owned by an underrepresented group, like a minority-owned, woman-owned, veteran-owned. There's a lot of resources for those types of companies. All right, now we're on to questions. Let me see if there is some question. I'm going to start at the end. All right, Pat Dillon is the SBIR, the FAST awardee there in Minnesota. Let's see. Is there a fee for registering with SAM? Great question. No, none of the required registrations have any fee associated with them. So if you do a Google search for like sam.gov, what's going to happen is you're going to come to a site that looks very similar to the sam.gov, but it's a private company, and they're going to want to charge you. If whether you're getting your EIN, which is your tax ID number from the IRS, or if you go to sam.gov, if anybody's asking you for a fee, then you don't want to go there. Go to the official government sites. There are no fees associated with it. If you go to the SBDC or to the Apex Accelerator for assistance, they generally won't charge you for any of those services, and they're excellent, and they can help you. There's nothing really complicated about these registrations. They just take time. So it's important to plan ahead. Let's see. I'm trying to let me go to the very beginning. There's a lot of chat. Let's see. Simon, is there a question answer that's separate from the chat, or do I have to sift through all these chats?
So you can look through the chat to view all the questions. I'm also happy to queue some up for you if that's what you would like.
Okay. Okay, they're looking for, and feel free to, if so. So Claudia had a question, is this for only technology projects? So SBIR, STTR involves technology. You have to have innovation. It's got to be an innovative technical based project. So yes, now what I would recommend is that you reach out, do a little bit of homework, and reach out to the agency that you think is most closely aligned to whatever your project is. But yes, it is a technology development project or funding program mechanism. Slides. They should be in the slides are available. Simon, the slides are available. There's a link. I know you put it in there somewhere. Slides. Everybody's looking for slides. And this is also being recorded, and it will be on the website. I also did this very same class, I guess, presentation earlier this month, and it is on the website right now, the Seed Fund website, so it's already there. Let's see. Slides. Okay, it looks like everybody's just asking for the slides. Okay, question. What if there are no prior awards for your technology? If you go to sbir.gov and you go into prior awards and you look for your technology and you don't find any prior awards, it's unusual, but it's not unheard of. So what I would suggest is try to figure out something that's most closely adjacent to your technology, and then identify what agency is funding or has funded similar technologies to yours, maybe even competitive solutions. So you're offering a solution to a problem. What is the existing solution? There has to be an existing solution, right? It could be a lousy one, but there's something there. People are solving this problem somehow. So what I would do is maybe use that as your starting point, figure out what agency has funded that existing solution, and then go from there to figure out what agency would be interested in your new novel solution that's even better than what the existing is. So it's a really good question there. Let's see. Questions. What I can do is okay, so let's see. There's a question about improving HVACR cooling. Okay, that's just looking for people that are interested. So if there's anybody in there. Slides, quad chart. What if your target doesn't even realize they have the problem that you are going to solve? Okay, so you have a solution. You think an agency might be interested, but they don't realize that they have this problem. So that's a really good opportunity for you to share about what your solution would do and the problem that it solves that aligns with that agency's mission. So this is really a good discussion point, and it could generate a topic in the future. So Richard, I would frame it in that sense that you're doing some education. Again, don't try to make it into a big sales pitch. This is about understanding what the mission need is for the agency, and then informing about the opportunity that you present to solve the problem that they have in their mission. This one need Do you have to have a website? No, you don't have to have a website for your company. um, let's see. All right. How many SBIR are there with just small business without university doing research and development? Well, SBIR does not require involvement of a university or research institute. STTR does require involvement of a research institute. Of the percentage of SBIR awardees that do not have um, a research institute involved, anecdotally, I don't know the particular stats, but with working with literally hundreds of clients a year at our firm, I would say half at least do not of SBIR applicants don't involve a university. So a significant fraction of the overall program does not involve a university. It's just small business working. Now they usually have collaborators. It could be other companies. Sometimes it is a small collaboration with a university or other research institute, but I would say a significant fraction does not involve a university. Let's see, looking to connect people to bio. Another question. How many? Okay, question from Ivan about success rates at SBIR. Generally speaking, varies by each agency. Even can vary year to year depending on what their funding levels are and how many applicants they get. But generally speaking, phase ones are getting awarded between 10 and 15, sometimes up to 20%. So it's very competitive for phase one. Again, very general statement. Moving from phase one to phase two usually goes 40 to 50%. So once you get into phase one, then assuming that your phase one project worked and that you proved what you were trying to prove, then most of the, around half will go to phase two. So that's the success rates. What is this? Fee for registering with SAM? No. So, yep, Apex accelerators definitely can help with SAM. Let's see. Okay, somebody went to the DOE website and didn't find it. It was listed at sbir.gov. I would suggest going to each of the individual agency websites to find out the most up-to-date information. Sometimes sbir.gov. I'm just gonna sbir.gov, the SBA's website, depends on the agencies to share information, and sometimes that information isn't always shared. So make sure to go to the agency specific website. So in this case, DOE. Is NIST 800, 171 and or CMMC compliance required pre-award? It depends, Joe, on the agency. Right now, DoD is still not requiring CMMC, but NIST 800, 171, the cybersecurity requirements are required. So it's not going to be required to submit, but to be able to get an award, you're going to have to meet the requirements of that. And if you need help with those, contact me specifically. We have some great resources that can help you with that. Let's see. NIH, what registrations are needed? So what you should do is contact the agency. All agencies require SAM.gov, which requires a EIN from the IRS to even start your SAM.gov. SAM.gov is required, and SBIR.gov is required for all agencies, and then each agency has additional ones. NIH, I don't remember off the top of my head. You have to look. Contact them. State support resources. You can find all the FAST awardees from the SBIR.gov website. Can you get free tax and payroll assistance? You should contact your SBDC. There might be some resources available there. Quad chart. Yes, you have to prepare a quad chart as part of your one-on-one meeting. So make sure to do that. Proposal. Is there a template to go off for putting together a proposal? So each agency will, in their solicitation, give specific instructions on how to prepare a proposal in the format that that particular agency is looking for. Every agency has a slightly different format of what they want to see and in what order they want to see it. And so you're going to want to read the instructions from that particular agency before you submit a proposal. Now, if you want to get assistance from a firm like ours, we could certainly help you with that. We certainly have all sorts of templates and guides on how to put together a solid and compelling proposal. The main difference between SBIR and STTR is STTR requires the involvement of a research institute and a certain portion of the budget, 30% must go to that research institute. SBIR allows, but does not require. So a small business could do all of the work under SBIR. That's the main difference. There are several other differences, but that's the main difference. It is okay if the technology exists and you're using SBIR to improve a process. Cynthia, it depends on your agency you're applying to. DoD sometimes they will accept an incremental change to existing technologies as long as it meets a mission need that they've identified in a specific topic. Similarly, some of the other contracting agencies might accept those kinds of incremental adaptations. Some of the other granting agencies are much less likely to take those. They're going to want to see something new, innovative, unproven, not established, all those kinds of things. So it depends on your agency. Should you apply for a patent prior to asking? It's up to you. That's a business decision. It's helpful in the sense that it shows that that you've got a plan and that you're executing on your plan, and that plan fits into your bigger, or that particular part of your plan, filing a patent, is a part of a bigger business plan. But in and of itself, it's not going to help make your competitive your proposal more competitive. In other words, you don't get extra points. There's not like a scoring sheet that says, yes, it's been patented, so that gives you extra 5 points. It doesn't help in that sense. It helps in the sense that it shows it as part of your bigger commercial plan, but it's certainly not required. And it might help a little, but it's not going to help significantly. Will there be someone at the Houston from ARPA 8? No idea. You'll have to check the website. Can phase 1 funds be used for applying provisional patents? No, you cannot use SBIR dollars for any patenting costs. If you get into a later phase and TABA is authorized, then TABA funds, which we don't have time to go into other than I'll mention the name, can be used for intellectual property protections, including patent filing fees. All right, I am going to have to just a couple last slides just so that I mentioned them earlier. So our firm, we do help applicants. We're Catalyst winner here so we've gotten funding from SBA. We are our FAST awardee. So if you're in Michigan, there are resources that we administer through, or from SBA through us to applicants. And so if you're in Michigan, make sure to look up the Michigan, what we call the MyCAN program, Michigan Catalyst Advantage Network, that has additional resources available for minority, rural, and women-owned companies. We also have a grant from the Growth Accelerator Fund from SBA. And so this is the next slide, what we call the Women's Catalyst Advantage Network. So women-owned company anywhere in the country can apply to our program. We have some additional resources available for women-owned companies. So if you're a woman-owned company from anywhere in the country, you can apply to our Women Can program and receive some additional resources at no cost. And if you're interested, please apply. We have cohorts that are starting next month, March, and in April. Lastly, I would say we are also a host site. As a FAST awardee, Michigan is on the road tour, the physical road tour. So we're excited to do that. And I'm going to have to jump off in 2 minutes to join because we're hosting and our time is at noon. If you wouldn't mind, please take a quick survey. SBA would like to hear about how this was helpful or not helpful. And then lastly, last slide here, there are some basic resources available. You can look at the website, sbir.gov. There are tons of resources there. Also on our website, we have several free, no-cost recordings on the basics of SBIR, STTR. With that, let's see if I can answer a couple last questions. Okay, question. You've gotten a feedback, you applied, and basically the decision of the administrator is final. Can you disagree? Of course you can disagree, but you're not going to be able to change their mind. Once an SBIR has been, once you've been notified that your SBIR has either been awarded or not awarded, or under consideration for award, then that's it. You can reapply, but you have to go through the process again. I've never seen anybody kind of change their mind. They just don't. They make their selections. They have a certain budget that they can, number of awards they can make. They make those, and you're free to get feedback. Make sure to get feedback. Make sure to ask for panel results. Whatever the agency is, they should be able to give you some feedback, and always ask for that. All right, what else? First time applicants, success stories. We have several clients. They knew nothing about the SBIR program. They applied and they got funding the first time. Also had plenty of people that applied the first time and didn't get funded, but they went to the agency, got feedback, took it to heart, improved their proposal, and won on a successive, resubmission. So so don't be deterred by the process. It can be a little daunting. I would suggest there are several resources that are out there that are minimal cost or no cost. Take advantage of those. Go to the FAST site, figure out who's funding, assistance in your state. And if you're not clear, you can contact us. We have relationships with most of the FAST awardees in the country, and so we can help guide you to those resources. But yeah, there's a lot. You can absolutely be successful the first time you apply. Omnibus solicitation, Rick, that is the NIH puts out an omnibus solicitation once a year. It has 3 submission deadlines: September 5th, April 5th, and January 5th every year. And so, all right, we didn't. You have an invention already at STL6. I think you're meaning TRL6. Can you still address this to SBIR? That's a little late. It depends. You might be able to. TRL stands for Technology Readiness Level. You might be able to. With that, I have to leave. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to all the questions. I'm glad there were lots of questions. Please look at the FAQ over at the sbir.gov. There's lots of great resources at that site. Feel free to contact us as well. We can help. And with that, good luck on your tour, the road tour, and enjoy your time meeting with the agency staff.